next door for allowing people to park there, because one of the problems on East ISB is there's nowhere to park. Back then, there have been some changes. There was another strip joint up the street that is the Sharp Lounge that is now gone. There's some better landscaping around A1A and East ISB. There are also some things that are probably worse than they were 3 years ago. And I know that there are plans to fix East ISB, and I think that's great. I think within those plans, and there's a meeting at the end of March that the Florida Department of Transportation is holding a public meeting that I would urge people to attend and let their feelings be known about it. But there are issues related to that project that are in the news and continually in the news, including whether it's a good idea to put a roundabout at A1A and East ISB. So we wrote about this in 2017. Here's the thing, before that, in 2011, we wrote another 5-part series about blight on the beach side. So it's not a, it's a long-term issue, and I know that it's a difficult one for everybody to fix. But we thought that this would be a good opportunity to just hear what people think about it for ourselves, so we can report that in advance of that FDOT meeting in the hopes that maybe that adds to the public discourse on it. So with that, that's all I've got in terms of an agenda, and I was just going to open it up to anybody who wanted to speak. Did you want to?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First off, from being a property owner here, I wanted to thank you for taking the time and organizing this thing. I want to tell you how important this is, because for years I've tried to develop, and without your help, all of us do not have a voice, and I greatly appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Can I ask that when people speak, they identify themselves?
Oh, my name. I apologize. My name is William Biddorf.
Okay, and you're just a property owner. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, identify.
He owns the building right next door.
Thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like at one time it's 71% of the CRA, roughly.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe
Plus or
maybe
minus.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was involved with a lot of my neighbors and Susan here and there's probably Mike Dennis on Lennox Avenue, former president of South Atlantic Neighborhood Association. Anyway, a bunch of citizens back in, I think it was 2015, we gathered trash bags and rakes.
I remember.
And all that.
Thank you.
Wheelbarrows. And we probably did more for this street than anyone since.
Mm-hmm.
And that pisses me off.
Yep.
All right.
I was going to answer his question.
Yeah.
I recently had the thing where, where the Denny's property is over there, where there used to be a concrete structure for the trash can. I had met with, I think it was Jim Morris, and I tore that down because there was a lot of homeless and a lot of problems there. I proactively struck with the Daytona Police Department to help curb that little problem we had. There was a lot of unsavories hanging out next to 1313, just to try to help property values.
I'm Christina Pirelli. I reside in the purple and yellow house right at the corner of International Speedway and Peninsula. There's just, it's kind of dangerous, like right there.
Yeah.
I definitely do not walk out, in the evening, around that property. There is a lot of trash constantly being thrown down. I'm always picking up trash all
Me
the
too.
time. There's dead cats that are out next door. There's people urinating. There are.
Yeah, 1313 is a problem.
It
Yeah.
needs to be cleaned up. I'm kind of having problems with the property, how it can sit there for such a prolonged period of time and nothing being done about it. I guess I really appreciate having this meeting. I'm so excited to come, and
So, can I ask you, if you could explain where your home is one more time?
So it's right across the street. It's right here. So it's right at International Speedway and Peninsula. It's next to the Shell stations, purple and yellow, it's somewhere else. So I'd like to turn it to a B&B, and we want to do an addition. I want to make it just a really nice, elegant B&B. But I'm in favor of doing so. I invested a lot of my money into that property as it is currently, but there's so much more that needs to be done, and I just don't want to do it right now. Because I want to see what happens here.
Thank you. Real quick, have you seen an influence of the opening of the homeless shelter, or is that just kind of a non?
Non-issue. We actually, on the side of our property, a lot of the homeless people do like to sleep there. We actually found, my neighbors put a brand new fence, really nice. Somebody actually nailed in, put a nail in their new wood fence with a hanger there. And there's a pair of pants hanging there.
Yeah.
And some other clothes. And I'm always seeing clothes on my property. I actually saw a cigarette butt, that was right there next to my window. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's somebody there. I can't see, at night.
I apologize, sir.
Could you have people speak up a little bit, because out here we can't hear.
Yeah, and if you want to come up and speak into the microphone even, that would be fine with me. Hey, and if I could ask, since you had asked other people to identify themselves, who are you?
My name is Kerry Powell, and I live in Ormond Beach, and I'm a concerned citizen. I attend lots of civic meetings, including KNU and other things.
Just didn't know. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
George Burton, I'm here because I don't want this area to become like New Smyrna Beach, where whatever they do with the traffic patterns backs it up so much that you don't want to come over here, because that's what's happened in New Smyrna Beach. And I hope that there are really, really smart people that figure out how to make the traffic come in here, because this is the main way. All locals know to avoid this street on the weekends because it's so backed up. And so I'm here, I want to hear what the solution's going to be so we don't have the same problem in New Smyrna Beach. Thank you.
Good point.
All right. Jenny?
I'm Jenny Nazak. I'm a local resident
Aw.
down the block. I've been a pedicab driver and eco activist and all that. I walk 24/7 around here. I'm not saying it's not a little sketchy sometimes. I think the biggest problem, the biggest way to clean up a neighborhood is to lower the barriers to businesses opening up right now
Yes.
in existing buildings on existing places. Instant cleanup.
Absolutely.
Instant cleanup. And then you
City makes it
have,
impossible.
You have the people. You have more people walking around. Just to sweep up a street that's empty is just going to make a clean, empty street. Because you want to populate some businesses, and that solves a lot. I'm scared about the FDOT thing. I think it's going to turn a wide blighted street into a wider blighted street. But in the meantime, I think we need to investigate what the barriers are to opening pop-up businesses right now, and then they will organically grow bigger businesses over time. Thank you.
Oh.
Juanita?
So, Juanita May, City Commissioner for Zone 3, which is this particular zone. I guess the reason I'm here this morning is because I would like to hear from the residents what they would like to see, support them in that. And then also, I would like to hear from the business community along East ISB to find out exactly how they can start the pop-up concept, or how they can innovate their business, or how they can change their design for their business to promote a better environment
Beautiful.
for us. That's kind of why I'm here. I want to listen to how they intend to do that as well.
Yeah, can I just turn that question just a little bit? Because I think some people are here, and it's good that you're here, Jim. It's great that you're here. But I think people would maybe want to hear what is it that the city maybe doing to try to help to proactively create that kind of an environment.
Do you want to go first, Mr. Chisholm?
Oh, there's Jim. Oh, didn't even know he was here.
Jim Chisholm, City Manager. I'm with Philip.
Sure.
It's good to see everybody here. I'm barely got my eyes open this time of day.
Thank you for coming.
But,
Thank you, sir.
We hear it all the time, what can the city do? And the city Got it? You got it? Okay. The city is, we're not, in the business of creating a business. But what we are is creating the environment for that business. That's what we can do to facilitate. And if there are barriers that we need to look at, we want to know that. The road and as you know, the city has bought, we bought a number of properties over here, spent over $2 million in buying property. We went down the corner of ISB and A1A and spent another $2 million in buying property, and we landscaped those properties. We cleaned up the what we thought was dilapidated businesses and structures. We can continue to do that, but we can only continue to do that if we have willing sellers. And if we have willing sellers that are willing to take market value for their property. Now, and what we find is most of the properties that that become available are not available at market value. They want, significantly more funds than the city would be willing to put into it. But that's on the acquisition. But the real solution is not us buying property. The real solution is the citizens, the investors, and businesses reinvesting in that property. And anytime we have someone who's willing to make those investments, we're willing to work with them. And we have tried to work with everybody down the strip here, but by and large, that's something that has to come from those who own the properties. Now, we've been successful with some property at the A1A area. The owner of the new redeveloped hotel has bought significant properties, trying to invest in his future. And at some point, I'm sure he's going to turn and put some kind of improvements on those properties that will generate more opportunities for the neighborhood and this part of Beachside. But it takes all of us. In reality, it takes all of us to do this, and it's not just the city going out and we don't build businesses, but we do hopefully provide opportunities for people to invest and to make successful business. So that's kind of our posture. And
the hotel owner is Eddie Hennessy of the street.
Yes.
Just one of the.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Why can't the city put, like Jenny suggested, reduce regulations for 5 or 10 years on new businesses, zoning-wise? Because zoning-wise, it's very constrictive of what we have right now. It takes
Absolutely.
an attorney and a PD to do something.
It's harsh.
Just about anywhere. Now, there are permitted uses of the land on here, but they are very restrictive. To me, I would see like a McDonald's. It'll fill a piece of property for a while, and what happens next to McDonald's is other things pop up. And so, to me, it would seem like if we had a reduction, and really it's not addressed at you, it's kind of addressed to you, the city commission is the one that needs to look at reducing the regulations and making it easier for an investor to come plug down, $500,000 on a piece of property to buy something.
So may I respond to that, sir?
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, I asked the city to please give me a listing of properties that were for sale, thinking that if we understood what properties were for sale, we could maybe start to work a little differently. Come to find out, there's only 3 properties for sale. So regardless, if people are not selling their properties in the open market, there's nothing that's really going to matter too much.
Well,
And
I can
could be wrong,
answer.
so you feel free to.
All the businesses can rent.
My neighbor has a house that's off A1A that's zoned commercial. She's not on A1A, but she's getting people inquiring about her property, and she's not even willing to sell it. So until I hate to put it this way, but like on the federal level, we reduced regulations, and what happened to the economy? Maybe on the city level, we could do something similar.
I'm sure there are instances where regulations are impediments, but I can tell you, we haven't had anybody that's presented something to us on this stretch of road that was denied by the city because of regulations. They've never presented anything. And it's I don't think it's as much as the regulations, because we have processes that get you around things and at the same time keep the public involved. Because the public has an investment in this community too. And there's a public process we have to go through to do that. So that's part of our challenge, but at the same time, they've got somebody who's willing to make an investment and come in and identify the properties, and if they've got something they feel like is an impediment, we're willing to work with them on those properties, and we do it every day.
You do, yeah. Yes, sir. My name is William Biddorf, and I am not complaining because I'm a big fan of yours and a big fan of the City Commission. I haven't always been, but I'm a big fan. Of course, at 540 East International, which didn't even come to your attention, I tried to put an e-bike store there. People were going to rent it from me to do e-bikes to rent out for the beach. I was denied because I have electric there, and I've had electric there and I've paid for it for years, but the city water at one time, it got cut off. They wouldn't let them rent and put a business in there because I'm in the redevelopment area. So I could have had that occupied, just like this young lady right here said. Genius. But I know it's not you, because a lot of things don't come to you. People say you're the city manager and you know everything. Well, how can you know everything? It's always dependent if it's disseminated to you. And I appreciate it, because I got news for you. I've met with him and Mr. Mars multiple times and trying to find a solution. And any solution that that you all come up with, I'm willing to work with you with at least my family's property.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. God bless you, and God bless everybody here, because we actually care about the community. And God bless our commissioner.
Can I just, while I've got Jim up here, and while I've got Juanita here, one question that I have myself, and it's not us meeting here, it's about East ISB, but really it's about the entire core beachside area. From here all the way over, the way I identify it is over to Seabreeze, and kind of between the river and the ocean. I guess my question is the city, there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake.
Yes.
There's a lot at stake for that neighborhood, and in my mind, for the city and the county, if that area is what it could be, as opposed to what it is, everybody's boat would float higher. And so I wonder, is the city proactively focused on that area in the same way that, say, they are downtown right now, where there seems to be a lot of activity that's happening quickly, as opposed to something where people are just waiting and waiting?
I'd like to go first, Mr. Wood. So I'm going to say yes. And the reason I'm going to say that is because about a month ago, I met with the gentleman behind you. He showed me pictures of Breakers Park. Very next morning, we were on it repairing it because it wasn't to standard of what our tourists should see. I get emails, I get texts, I have pictures, I document everything from business people and residents on the side complaining about things, and as quickly as I get it, I'm addressing it.
Really?
Last night
Good.
at 7:30, I was knocking at someone's door saying, you just called me 30 minutes ago, and here's the response to your question. So yes, I have a working list of everything. Mr. Chisholm and I, we meet regularly, and we are right now looking at beachside. Every single meeting, it's what can we do? The things that we're doing might not seem big enough to you, but to me, it's big. It's things that maybe I've been able to do before.
It's
But
huge.
we are doing, in my opinion, we got the corners knocked down because I met with the chamber, and the chamber said, you know what, why not? And then within 30 days, we were hitting it and trying to work forward. So as quickly as things are coming in, we are addressing it. And might not be quick enough for you, but rest assured, we are actively doing it.
Follow up.
Thank you.
We've got, a number of years ago, we went through a process of looking at how can we reduce the very question you had, how can we reduce the impediments to to redevelop it in the redevelopment area, the Main Street redevelopment area, came up with the Main Street plan. And we have successfully moved properties in that area, but we're constantly looking for investors, people that are willing to put their money and put businesses in. There's opportunity there, and it's not, they're market rate opportunities, they're not opportunities that are not affordable. So it takes two things. It takes an environment and a group who's willing to work with each other to make it happen. And it takes that person who's got the financial resources to make it successful. And we aren't normally in the business of banking for them, so we will work with them as it relates to tax abatement or other infrastructure improvements, and we have worked with some of the hotels particularly, but there's plenty of opportunity for everybody if you're willing to make the investment.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm Gerald Robinson. I'm just a resident recently. And I couldn't help but wonder, it seems like there are three areas that we need improvement on. One is the blight, one is current businesses, and one is the future business. Can we, or if we don't have, can we get a blight tax for those places that are not conducive to looking well? And then in order to free that up, in order to do something with it. And secondly, can we lower prices and taxes on current businesses that they could offset in order to
It could be a
repaint, re-sign, make
that could be a legal quagmire. Oh,
In the redevelopment areas, and we've got like 4 or 5 different redevelopment boards, and in some cases we have funds available to assist with business to paint, fix up, renovate, to make it more attractive. So we are putting money into businesses on that level in a redevelopment area. But I can't tell you what we've done specifically on the beach side.
I can tell you.
Those areas I'm just not familiar with.
I can tell you. I can tell you. I've been working hand in hand with code enforcement, one place at a time. One place at a time. The city and our commissioners have been straightening up beachside. It's the first time our commissioner is getting up there and standing up for our property rights. Okay, what she's trying to do is help raise the value of our properties. No matter what anybody thinks negative or positive, what's happening is over here on Noble Street, when Mr. Morris had called me and asked me, say, hey, could you please tear it down? No problem. If it's going to help the police department, I tore it down. That block building, I went out with a sledgehammer with my father and I tore that block structure down. That's how much this city means to all of us right here, because we wouldn't be up 7:30 in the morning if it didn't. This is our livelihood. So code enforcement is working on it one time. We got problems out here. We got people living in tents and people back to people's yards breaking code. I think it's like, I don't know the exact addresses off the top of my head. It's a mess, but they're straightening it up one person at a time. And, sorry.
I don't want to just interrupt, but I do want to say this, is if you have particular problems, I know this lady had a particular problem in her area, you might think we know about it, but we probably don't. In many cases, you live here, you see it. And
report it.
If you will give us the opportunity to investigate and see what we can do with it, we will certainly do that. Our code department is very active. I mean,
yes.
Thank you. I
So-
love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes.
But
I
we
love
need,
that.
we need your help in identifying those areas where those problems exist.
You go ahead, sir.
Yes, my name is Steve Kipp, and I own property at 309 Vermont Avenue, that dwelling right in back here, and then I own a condo over here, 144 South Halifax, and I've owned property here for 15 years or so, and this same discussion has been going on for 15 years.
Absolutely.
Which I can't believe that we're where we are right now. I know Blue Water Development bought a large section of land right just this side of the bridge back around 15 years ago, tore down a lot of the buildings they bought, they had big plans, then the economy went south a little bit, and, they had permits, I know, from the city to do what they wanted to do, but they didn't pursue it any further, I guess, because of the money situation. And now, I
know.
did see somebody putting a whole lot of pipes in or something over there not long ago. I don't know whether it's the developer that's starting to move on that project, or
Florida Power and Light.
I'm just,
Sorry.
I'm concerned
It
about
sounds
my
terrible.
property values,
Get
mainly
me.
like a lot of other people here, and I know the highways part of this is maybe holding up things from happening faster, and that's in progress, but I don't, somebody said that even this highway situation isn't gonna be improved for 3 years or something. I just can't believe how slow this,
It's not the city, though. That's the transportation
corridor
authority.
is going. We're 15 years we've been going, and so far, all that's happened is some properties have been bought and torn down, and the lots have been cleaned up, and then let your voice go.
Well, wait a minute. Sorry.
Just one thing, because it's obvious when you come across a bridge, probably one of the most visible properties is in Blue Water property.
Yep.
And once they completed the acquisition and got the permits approved, all the
Thank you.
principals either died or had serious family issues, and the corporation
There you
split
go.
up. They resold the property to somebody, to another group of people, and they have not moved forward at this point with moving with that project. Now, they have everything in their pocket. I don't know what to take, other than maybe money, but they certainly have the opportunity to sell that property. That's the only one.
I want to just throw one question before we go on to something else, because it's related to beachside development and the question that I had. They've created these federal enterprise zones.
Oh, God.
And downtown is part of it. Opportunity zones.
That sounds
And
better.
it stretches as far as the Halifax River, I believe, and then that opportunity zone ends.
Ooh.
My question, I guess, is twofold. Has the city contacted the federal government or anybody to ask them to extend that to the beach side so that investors can take advantage
Exactly.
of what those opportunity zones offer? And secondly, if not, and if that's not possible, should the city do something like create their own enterprise zone with incentives
Absolutely.
that are more clear than they are now
They have
for people who want to either invest in a home and redo it, fix it up, or
A business.
Start a business, perhaps start and make it just a Main Street opportunity zone, and then, go from there. It's a long-winded question, but I just wanted.
Yeah, I'll give you a short answer. Yes, we did participate with the federal request for creation of opportunity zones, and there were specific criteria for that: unemployment, can't think of the term, but the average salary the average income for families in certain areas, so only certain areas could qualify. And we listed a bunch of them, including some over here, but it went to the state and the federal government basically decided where the zones were going to occur, based on the criteria they had. Now, can the city do it? We can't do it in the fashion they are, because they're given tax-free investment opportunities for people who have incomes that require them to pay taxes on capital gains. That's how they get the investment back. And we do have some people that fit that category that is working with some of the developers in the downtown area for their projects. So there is some activity using the opportunity zone funds.
I don't want to cut it.
Jenny, you've
Yeah.
Jenny Mazak, I want to talk about investors. Investors is us. Anyone in this room is every bit as much of an investor as some big old fat cat that we don't know. So, when we talk about the economy, when we look at the stories about the economy in the newspaper, it tends to be all focused on Wall Street. Our economy has gotten so hitched to Wall Street that we forget about just us and collectively our Main Street.
Our community.
We live here. I respect people's concerns about property values. I live in my house. I hope I grow old and die here. So I don't focus much on property values. But what I think about is how can some of us get together and whatever money we have, whether it's $10 or $10,000 or $100,000, people can get together and buy properties or just rent from some of these owners. Like start to think of ourselves as the investor. Maybe even just an espresso cart or a small pedicab service or any kind of small thing. It's all investment.
Amen.
Thank you.
Let me just make one comment about that, because that's really been the focus that we've had since about 2006. Because in 2006 we had an economic development meeting, and I think it was at the convention center. I don't remember exactly where we had, but we invited everybody who were investors or developers to come to that meeting, and that was a point where the economy was down. But we were trying to get people interested in coming to Daytona Beach. And as a result of that, you see a lot of development occurring on the west side, but we didn't attract anybody that was willing to put money on the beach side. Now the difficulty on the beach side is not necessarily the regulations as much as its values. And there are people that have values that they feel that their property's worth, and that it hasn't always attracted, the developers that are willing to put money into the beach side. But our focus all along has been, I've been to the chamber, I've been to different groups. If you have someone who's willing to invest in the beach side, we'd certainly like to see them, because you're the ones that are empowered to do that more so than we are.
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Ray Zamitis. I've been here 45 years. I'm from Boston originally. I live in Indigo Lakes, but that's another story. I don't want to regress and talk about the closing of the golf course. That's something else. But I taught school here in Volusia County for 35 years, chemistry, all this crazy stuff. Retired 3 years ago, and I'm saying, okay, maybe I go up to Carolinas or Georgia, get a little summer home or whatever. My wife says, no, let's invest here, and speaking of, in Daytona. Okay, great. I bought a little condo hotel here about 9-10 months ago over here at the Daytona Inn. And as you come out at the end of 92, you take the corner, take a left, the first thing you see is the Daytona Inn. Well, the first impression is always lasting, to me anyway.
Absolutely.
You look at the place, I'm saying, oh, it's bad shape, okay? But the thing that happened, they got rid of all the prostitutes, all of the crap that's going on in there, whatever like that. And now the owners, as I bought the place, I realized they told me that you might have to maybe invest a little bit more money. They're going to might close it down for a little bit, fix it up, so on and so forth. That's what they've been doing. They fixed the north side, the west side. Now our east side, they're telling me it's going to be closed for 2 years. So I can't get any renters in there. My wife and I can't do the weekends, and
same thing on East ISB.
Time, whatever. But the thing I'm flabbergasted about, and it just, to me, it's unconscionable that the city is not helping out with this project. They turned their back to these people, literally there, and they're saying, you guys are on your own. They took out a $6.5 million loan to fix up the place cosmetically. They had some hurricane damage, whatever. I'm shocked that Eric Henry, our mayor, is not going and getting some funds from the federal government or somehow, some way, some kind of redevelopment, something to help out the project. But no, they're saying they turned their back, the whole city turned their back to these people. I've only been an owner there for 9 months. These other people have been living there 10, 15 years, and they said the city wants that place to be empty. The good thing is the little restaurant in the corner is opening up May 1st. So there's a positive thing there going right now. Again, I put all my hard-earned money, my little nest egg right into that place, trying to help out the area, whatever, after being here 45 years. And I'm hoping to see something. There's 1,000 cities in America, thousands and thousands of cities in America. Last year, USA Today had an article there. Daytona Beach was the 26th worst city in America to be living in. Now, I'm not going to itemize every single reason why, yada, yada, yada. You guys can look it up on the computer. But I'm saying to myself, you can't change the past, but we can move forward. That's what I want to see happening here. And thus far, in my opinion, the city's not helping those people at Daytona Inn. Sorry.
But
Yeah.
you know what the
No, I
CRA
agree.
money is for?
I don't know.
Stuff like this?
I'm sorry, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
You run it, surely you know what the CRA money is for.
CRA money is for eliminating blight and
Fireworks,
eliminating blight
Salaries.
and account. You want me to talk to you about that?
Uh-huh.
We can work with properties to solve those issues. I don't know the specific issues associated with Daytona.
He doesn't. He's not going to know
They
everything.
want to come to us. We're here. There's no reason someone can't come and talk about what's possible. But I can't do it in a vacuum, and
Excellent.
I can't tell you
Maybe.
everything that can be done as a result. But I can tell you this: we will talk with whoever is the proper person that has ownership interest in that facility, and if there's a solution that we can offer or participate in, we'll do it.
All right, I'm gonna go to Dave.
The city manager just turned 75. Congratulations.
I'm not as old as you are, John.
And, but I don't make as much money.
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to check your background.
And he's been here for 15 years, and we've had this la-di-da story for 15 years. And it's worse now than it was 15 years ago. And but I'd like to talk about the road, because the road is going to be your biggest problem. Because FDOT, well, let's start, just some little lady, who I forgot her name, at the Beachside Neighborhood Watch, decided we needed to talk about East ISB in somewhere in September, probably, of 2018. Beachside Neighborhood Watch is a nice little bunch of people. Ginny's at the helm over there now. She wasn't then. Ruby was at the helm, but this little old lady wasn't Ruby. And she called Kathy Enot at FDOT. That's the boss. And that March 31st meeting at night at the Midtown Community Center is a big deal. And now George Burden, who forgot to tell you, the only guy in the tie and jacket, who is running for public defender, said he didn't want this place to be like New Smyrna. New Smyrna Beach is booming. They have none of the problems you people got. We hate New Smyrna Beach, but they got gridlock on the weekends. Their people cannot go from their houses anywhere. So this is the deal. You're going to have really bad gridlock when they get done with the road. And the reason for that is, oh, by the way, on the first Thursday in October 2018, Kathy Enot and the people from Inwood Consulting were at the Peninsula Club, and I was surprised that we got that kind of a high-class turnout. We're about 75 people here. Some of you may have been there. I don't know that. And the nice man from Inwood said, we will be back in the spring of 2019 for a workshop. We will be back in the summer of 2019 for the final meeting, and you'll see the design. He said, I'm not here to praise a traffic circle or a roundabout. I'm not here to condemn one, but when I'm done with my study, I will let you know honestly what I think the right outcome for this street is. Well, that poor man got hired away by a friend of mine. He doesn't work for Inwood anymore. And they have somebody else. The cost for this design was $2,008,000. The current cost to design is $2,800,000. So it gained almost $1 million in the last year. We did not have any meetings in 2019. Right now, that meeting is 1 year behind schedule. So I called Kathy Enot at FDOT and I said, where did the road go? Where did it fall off the cliff? Well, we're in with the city manager of Daytona Beach, and there's some discussions about people's vision. That's the way they talk, vision. So that means the city manager and or the city staff or somebody in that in behind the blue curtain there where the Wizard of Oz lives, they decided that they didn't like something.
That is.
So now they've renegotiated, and they're going to come out on March 31st, and they're going to tell us about the roundabout. The roundabout is opposed by Volusia County government. Why? Because the toll booths on East ISB, for the beach, the county engineers, traffic engineers, the construction engineers have decided it will back up the roundabout. And when it backs up that roundabout, guess what it's going to do to you? Gridlock. So the city is pushing for a roundabout. I don't know if the city's pushing for a roundabout because they bought the land on both sides and they want to sell it to FDOT. That could be a good reason. But the roundabout is going to be a killer for you guys that live in this neighborhood. So that March 31st meeting, we have to come out in force. The county hopefully will come out in force. And maybe the city will back down, or maybe FDOT will back down, or maybe Inwood will get another $500,000 to design this thing, and then we'll get a traffic light. By the way, traffic light is feasible. It's cheaper than the roundabout. It won't buy the city's land back, but it's better for us, and the county is satisfied with a traffic light as being better than a roundabout. End of story.
All right. They were getting rid of blight.
I don't know if you want to.
I don't know if I can follow everything that he said, but I can tell you this. The last time that the city manager met with FDOT was about 4 years ago.
All right.
So it has nothing happened, nothing I said or did at that point directed them to do anything. The only thing we did tell them is, you're in the business of designing this road and coming up with a concept. You looked at roundabouts, and roundabout was a priority of them for many years.
Right.
So we said, we'll work with you on whatever you come up with. Now, we entered an agreement with them, but we even provide the ability for them to use some of the property we've acquired. But they've never come back with a design, they've never come back and consulted with us as a result of that. But at the same time, they've had 3 leaders of that group. The secretary's changed either 3 or 4 times.
Inwood?
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about Inwood, I'm talking about the Secretary of DOT, this district has changed it like 4 times in the last 4 years.
Right.
So it's very difficult to get the leadership in place to get something accomplished, but it is in the budget for, I think it's 22 and 23.
Well, 23 starts construction. We're going to drive on it in 25.
Acquisition in 22, and they'll have construction started in 23.
And they'll drive on
In
it
21, they're
about
acquiring my
25.
property with this one.
I don't want Jim here to be in the hot seat the entire time unless you want to be, which is fine with me.
Well,
sorry. What did Heather Cole say that one time? This is my microphone.
God, I'm
that was Ronald Reagan. I'm sorry.
Thank you for showing.
I want to ask just 2 quick questions. One related to the roundabout. I guess a show of hands, how many people are concerned about the roundabout functioning properly? So it's a pretty good number of people. Okay. And the other question, and it's to Jim's point about the changes in FDOT, just the pace, which I think is an issue for people who live here, period. Just the length of time it takes for anything to happen, and by the time something happens, then there are other things that need to happen. How many people are satisfied with the pace of just the East ISB project?
Wait.
That's
a trick question.
Maybe the way I should do this to get a better photo is how many people aren't satisfied with the pace.
But it's a trick question, though.
All right. That's all I got. I know there was at least one person, Jeff, behind me who had a question or wanted to speak.
Yes. That's all yours. I just wanted to add to the conversation, Jeff Brower. I don't live here. I was raised here.
I love you. Thank you.
I live in Delano Springs. I used to ride this road every day. I was a lifeguard on the beach. I was a captain of the Daytona Beach Station. This road was packed with people. The sidewalks were full. They were happy. There was things to do. It was an exciting place to live. And then we closed the beach. And Daytona Beach began to die. We closed beach driving to the north. If we put a roundabout in, it's going to be the nail in the coffin for the driving on the south side, because it'll back traffic trying to get through your toll booth to get on the beach that you already pay taxes for, all the way to the river. It's a bad idea. What Big said about the March 31st meeting, there needs to be this many people at that meeting. Everybody is discouraged, and they look at that roundabout and say, well, we have no say, and to get the money from the state, we have to do that. That's not true. The project for this road is not dependent on a roundabout. Full disclosure, I'm running for Volusia County Chair because I'm tired of what this man has pointed out, that it's been going on, a conversation for 15 years. It's been going on a lot longer than that. We need to get the county involved, the state involved, and the city involved to solve this problem. But you know who's really going to solve it?
Us.
It's you. I went to Pensacola, Florida to look at that town who has the same problem. They have a military base there. You would think their downtown was booming. It wasn't, because there was so much blight. There was nothing to do. You know who fixed it? The citizens finally got together and said, look, let's clean up our own town. I'm tired of listening to the politicians tell me we can't do this because that's a state road, and we can't do this because that's a county. We can do it. You know how you do it? You go to these meetings and you stand up and you let your voice be heard. You know why there's not investors here? Look at the road. It looks like there's no confidence in this road. Why would somebody invest in an area where there's absolutely no confidence? So let's give some confidence. Let's do the little things that we can do right now to make it look more inviting, more interesting. Jenny Nazik is exactly right. Let's get some little businesses in here. That's how towns grow. Let's make it easy for him to open a business.
Yes, sir.
Let me finish. You've talked 4 times. But I want to hear what you say, because you're a business here. So
oh, I love you, man. You're awesome.
Please go to the March 31st meeting. It's in Midtown at the Cultural Center. There's a website. Go to the River to Sea TPO and look it up. And if this many people go there, that's here, somebody's going to listen. That's what happened in Pensacola, is that the people rose up peacefully and said, we've had enough. We're going to clean up our area. We're going to attract investors. And they got one person, one business owner, to start doing something, and then other people came in. They just won, Pensacola, Florida just won the strongest town in the United States. And it was a citizen-initiated project. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Hey,
And
Pat,
I think
let me
Jeff gets my vote for loudest speaker.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, Pat, just one thing. The county is
sir.
also going to improve Silver Beach, because if the traffic circle goes in, they're going to try to figure out how they're going to divert the traffic from here, which will be clogged up, to Silver Beach. So all you people to the south, get ready for that one.
It's for Mr. Bauer.
This gentleman back here has been, you had your
Yes,
hand
sir.
up for a while.
I'm sorry,
so
go ahead.
Speak up.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Or him?
Hi, my name's Ed Guard. I was born and raised here. My mom still lives a mile south of Bel Air Plaza, went to Seabreeze High School.
Oh.
I'm a local contractor. I've been in the construction business for 36 years. So I've been on the side, I work for large developers. Right now I build custom homes primarily in Flagler Beach because there's opportunity there. We have to find some compromise between development and local to control traffic and all. It has to be responsible development. It has to be. Flagler Beach, great little beach town. It's what Daytona was probably 60, 70 years ago.
Yep.
So, but I will tell you from the development side, and I work for large developers, it's expensive. It costs a lot of money to invest in these properties. And so it's easy to say, you give in to developers, but if we're waiting on state and local government to make this thing go, we'll still wait another 15, 20 years.
Yep.
It takes, hundreds of millions of dollars to make these jobs go. And just as the last gentleman said, I live beachside here, right at the Daytona Shores line. I would love to invest here on this side and in my mom's old neighborhood where I grew up, but the construction cost, I'd like to buy a vacant lot and build a spec home for somebody to live in. I mean, it'll be $400,000 or $500,000 by the time you get it done. Because that's what the labor and construction material cost is, just crazy. So we have to find some middle ground to make this thing work. You know, it does take substantial amount of investment to come into properties like this. You know, downtown, you got Brown & Brown's the anchor. You know, so that's the kind of the nebulous for all of those things to kind of get moving. So we just got to find, you know, I've been to all the meetings for Main Street, all of those things. My wife and I ride Harleys, so I'm on both sides of that. I would love Main Street to be cleaned up, you know, because those bikers are riding $50,000 motorcycles. They're going to go to a nice restaurant. It doesn't have to be, you know, Froggies, and, you know, hey, I love going to those places. So we have to find some middle ground in making that stuff work. We just do.
Absolutely.
Sure. How about you?
Oh.
Go ahead, speak up.
I'm Sue Odina. I live just north of Seabreeze. I've only been here 3 years, and we didn't come here when we lived in Orlando. We went to New Smyrna Beach. What I'd like to see is my family to be comfortable coming over here, walking up and down the streets. I'd like to see the people that go to the hotels be comfortable going out of the hotels and up and down our side streets. Since I've been here, I've had drunks sleeping on my front lawn.
Absolutely.
One tried to get in the house. I actually saw a knife fight while I was sitting having cake and tea
Every day.
at a business meeting
Certainly.
on Seabreeze. That's not something I'm used to, not something that I want to have a business meeting and have my people that I want to entice to the neighborhood watch. I will compliment Captain Lee. He is terrific. I have him on speed dial, and they're there in a hurry. So I do suggest you get his number and have him on speed dial as well. Ed Noseworthy walks the other way now when I see him, because I hammer him all the time. I want an emergency room beachside. I don't want to drive 30 minutes over the bridge and maybe wait for a train while I'm sitting there bleeding or having some kind of health issue. I don't want our tourists to have that. I drive the Maddens crazy telling them I want an Ace Hardware at Bel Air Plaza. So I do suggest maybe we get together with Jim, with the chamber, and talk about what kind of businesses that we all want here. I know we want a fresh market. They aren't coming because they say we don't make enough beachside to entice them. We don't have enough rooftops that are and enough income. I've told you some of the businesses that I'd like to see here. Perhaps we could entice them that way by getting together and targeting what we want.
Oh, beautiful.
I just want to thank you for sharing all that.
That was
really.
beautiful.
I just want to make kind of one comment. You know, what does it say that we have a core beachside area that's between this beautiful river and the Atlantic Ocean, and there's a reason they call it the world's most famous beach. This is a really nice beach, and we have all of that. And somebody is living in the neighborhood who says, I wish that my family felt safer, more comfortable,
Scary, isn't it?
just coming here. How you know, it's, we can unravel, here's how this all happened. Here's how the beachside became what the beachside is. But I think the big issue is what has to be done that's more than lip service, that's proactive things, to actually make it into something where your family members ought to feel like they want to come here and they want to come back. And I think the beachside is key to all that.
Got to be small business
Go ahead,
friendly. So, got to be small business friendly.
My
They're
name's
not.
Vern Weatherholtz. I live at Granville Circle, just before you go into the shores on the river there, or by the river. I've been involved with the city, I've been here for 8 years. I've been on the code enforcement board and I'm on the building code right now. Some of the Daytona Beach, I didn't come here. We used to go to Cocoa Beach. But Daytona Beach was always a sleepy little town. With Big, the meeting that he was talking about with DOT, I've been present with them. We talked about the roundabout. I think the roundabout is a bad thing. I've been in construction for 45 years. I've been 10 years in municipal government as a different aspects, utility manager and public works director. So I know what works. I think this is going to be